Look at my mug. My writing partner got me this last year, and I pulled it out because fall is almost over and the fall queen's a little bit sad about it. Coffee, you know I'm addicted. I think the only person that may be comparable with me in my love of coffee is probably like Kate Kavanaugh. Seriously, like me and her could probably like put a coffee house out of business because whew. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. If you're new here, my name is Courtney. I write under the pen names Lyra Parrish, and I'm one half of the USA Today best-selling duo Kennedy Fox. And today we're going to talk about LLCs and where you can go to set one up and some benefits of having one as a self-published author. I am not giving tax advice. I am an accountant, but guys, not giving tax advice, not giving legal advice. Make sure to talk to your accountant, talk to your attorney, talk to all those people that have the proper certifications to give you that sort of advice. But I hope that this video will help kind of lead you in the right direction. So with Kennedy Fox, we have an LLC that we set up before we started publishing, and one of the main reasons for that is so we could have our own entity. When you think of an LLC, you kind of think of it as its own person. I personally don't like it when people say, I own my own publishing house, but you're only publishing yourself. I understand that having an LLC gives you credibility with banks and with your state and stuff of that nature, but I'm not one of those people who goes around and says, oh, well, I've got my own publishing house. I think that it's different whenever you're publishing yourself and you're publishing a group of people. If under your LLC you are publishing someone other than yourself, then I would say yes, you created a publishing house. But if you're only publishing yourself, then basically you're just running a publishing business, not necessarily a publishing house. It's semantics, I know, but it's really one of my pet peeves, which I have many of those. Y'all already know about it. But anyway, there are several different websites on the interwebs where you can register for an LLC. There's LegalZoom.com and there's Inkfile.com. I will put those links down below in the description. And there are benefits to using both. I personally think Inkfile is cheaper in the long run than LegalZoom, but guys, look around. I'm sure that you can find one that you like. I've used Inkfile. I find that it's really easy to process and they're cheaper than LegalZoom, and they also give you a registering agent for free for the first year, which is really cool. I am not sponsored by any of these people. If you want to sponsor me, holler, but this is just me kind of sharing the websites that I have used in the past to file for LLCs. So some people ask me, when should I create my LLC? And I think personally that it's best to just go ahead and do it from the beginning, because you can set up all of your accounts on all of the platforms with the correct EIN. And what EIN stands for is Employer Identification Number. And so basically, this is your business's social security number if you are in the United States. So your LLC basically is its own person, its own entity, and all of your tax forms at the end of the year will be distributed to that EIN. If you create that at the very beginning, then you won't later have to go through all of your accounts and try to transfer this over. I actually don't know if it's possible to easily do that with Apple Books, because you have to validate all of these accounts before you can actually publish. So to save yourself a headache, I would say when you go to publish your first book, I think it's good to start your LLC then. I do understand that it is somewhat expensive in some states to create this. In Texas, I believe it's like $300 to initially file it, plus the fee that I pay Inkfile to do all the pretty stuff. And then there's other states like California where you're gonna pay it's some sort of like state tax fee, and it's like $800 a year just for having an LLC. So you have to take that into account, and you have to look up what your state requires on a yearly basis. What's really cool is when you go to IncFile and you pull down your state and what you're trying to do, like the top banner, it'll tell you things that you need to be aware of for filing an LLC in the state that you chose. So for Texas, there is a franchise tax that all LLCs have to pay, and based on the amount of money that you make in a yearly basis, you get taxed on that. That is what Texas has. So every state is different. Some states don't have anything like that. Some states are very cheap to file in. I've always heard you want to file your LLC in the state that you are doing business. I've seen some people say, oh, well, just go file an LLC in Delaware and like you'll be totally fine. It's cheap, whatever. I personally don't feel comfortable doing that. If you do, go for it, I guess, but I don't personally know what the benefits of that is. But when it comes to filing my taxes, I'm very serious when it comes to the IRS, because I understand 100% what they will do to you if you mess this up. So I spoke about a registering agent, and a lot of people are like, what is a registering agent? If you're not aware, every single person who registers an LLC in the United States, you can look up who registered it and their home address that they registered this LLC to. So if you don't want people to be able to look up where you live, then I would say you want to get a registering agent. This is especially important whenever you are running your business under a pen name, because if you want to just be known as your pen name and you set up an LLC for this pen name and you don't get a registering agent, everyone will see your legal name there. I am not gonna put the website to go and look that up, because we actually got outed as Kennedy Fox because when Brooke registered our LLC, she did not use a registering agent, so her information was just out there on the internet. So if you don't want that, I would say 100% use a registering agent. I think with IncFile, it's $100 a year. And basically what a registering agent does for you is if you get some sort of legal documentation or someone sends you some sort of mail or anything, they're gonna send it to the address that's on your LLC. The registering agent is basically like a pass-through. So it goes to them, they scan that documentation, and they email it to you. So then nobody knows who is behind that LLC. I personally like that extra protection. I don't want people looking up my address and seeing where I live and just, you know, stopping by my house. I mean, if y'all want to come over, just warn me first so I can clean up. But, you know, I don't want my personal information on the internet at all. There have been stories about stalkers and all this other stuff, and that's just, no. So there are some authors on AuthorTube who have LLCs set up and they did not use a registering agent, and everybody puts it in the front of their books. So basically, if I wanted to, I could just go and look up their address. Actually, I did. I tested it. I looked. I'm like, okay, this person has an LLC, this person has an LLC, let's go look what's going on and if they used a registering agent, and they did not. I think that you can get one later, but it's the internet, and once things are out there, guys, it's out there forever. So if you want your address, you know, not on the internet, get a registering agent, $100 per year. And you get to write those fees off that you pay for that. So people ask me what the taxes are like for an LLC. So an LLC is actually a pass-through entity. So it's treated just like a sole proprietorship or a partnership. And a sole proprietorship, that's basically whenever you are using your social security number and you don't have any sort of like business or anything like that set up, you're just running it underneath your legal name. So that's kind of good to know. And so a few cool things about having an LLC is it, like I said, is its own entity, so it protects your assets. If you're sued and someone brings you to court and you lose, that protects your personal assets. So that means they cannot go after your house or your car or your savings account. They can only go after your business's assets, the money that your business has, the property that your business has. It really protects you as a person. You know, like, that would suck if you didn't have an LLC and somebody sued you and decided that they were going to sue you for everything that you owned and you lost. What would you do then? Was it worth it? Was it worth not paying that money to set up your LLC? I think not. I mean, most of us realistically are not going to get sued, but you never know. People are so sue happy these days that it's good to have that protection. The second thing is banks take you more seriously. It creates credibility with financial institutions whenever you have an LLC, which means you can create a bank account that has your business name on it, credit card that's got your little business name on it. Your business is financially responsible and you are making a lot of money. Banks will want to give you credit cards so you can charge and spend money with them. It also allows you to keep your personal and business separated. If you have a separate bank account where all of your funds go, a bank account that has money inside of it where you've got your expenses coming out instead of just using your debit card or your personal credit cards or things like that. Whenever you start mixing things, that's when it gets kind of complicated at tax time. And whenever you have an LLC, it gives you the ability to set up a bank account, to get a debit card, to get a credit card, to basically run this business as its own separate entity online and in your real life. If you sell books online with PayPal, you can open up a business account that is registered to your LLC. And also, I do want to note that if you do not set one up and you go direct with Apple Books, it will put your real name as the publisher. It's going to use the legal entity that has the right to publish those books. And if you do not have an LLC, they will put your real name there. So if you are using a pen name and you don't want people to know that that is you, it gives you that extra added protection. I do know somebody who had a DBA and Apple has had issues for years and years to try to get her real name off of those books. So I would just say at the very beginning, whenever you're going direct, it's a lot easier if you set it up with an LLC. If you're writing underneath your real name and you have the publisher as your real name, then it's really not that big of a deal because you probably don't care. But when you're using pen names, I think that it's very important to do that. I just want to say that you should probably be careful what you name your LLC, like, because Apple does put this out there for everyone to see who is buying your books. Don't name it something stupid like Buy My Books Publishing, or, you know, try to choose something that's kind of professional. Like, so for Kennedy Fox, our LLC is Kennedy Fox Books, LLC. We branded everything for that name, our website, all of our social media, it's all exactly the same. And so if you just plan to publish under yourself, there's nothing wrong with naming it blah blah books LLC. I wouldn't actually name it a specific name just in case I wanted to genre hop and have different pen names that are all me being published by my company. I would probably do it something more general. Then it doesn't box you in. So for Kennedy Fox, like, we're not gonna publish anything else underneath that business. That is me and Brooke's partnership. Another reason to get an LLC if you have a partner that you're working with, like Kennedy Fox is its own person. It has its own EIN and everything runs under that, and it makes it very easy for us at the end of the year to file our taxes because there are two of us. So there's a lot of different benefits when it comes to that, working in a partnership. Plus it protects both of you. Like I said, it is expensive in some states. I'm not gonna lie. Like, at the very beginning for me as Lyra Parrish, if I was in California, I probably would not have set up an LLC. I would have just dealt with it because the cost of that is so much for someone who is just starting out. So in Texas, I know that y'all are gonna ask me if I have an LLC for Lyra, and I actually do not have one yet. Y'all know that I am unpublishing my books very soon. probably this weekend. And so when I take them off of Amazon, when I put them back up, it will be under an LLC. I just haven't decided what I want to name it yet. I am not going to call it Lyra Parrish Books LLC. I think I'm going to do something more general because in the future, I may want to write young adult. I've talked about this before. I may want to write some paranormal books, but I may want to write in different genres under different pen names. And so my thinking for that is to choose something that's more general, because if I create another name, I don't want it to say Lyra Parrish Books LLC under another name. I just want it to be something general. Obviously, I would probably tell people if I created another pen name, just because at this point, what do I have to lose? Everybody already knows that I have all these different pen names. Well, two, Kennedy Fox and Lyra Parrish. But when I started Lyra, I did get a DBA, which is a doing business as. In the state of Texas, it costs like $30 to get. This is filed with the state, and it's documentation that basically states that Courtney Young is doing business as Lyra Parrish. This allowed me to get verified on Facebook. This also allowed me to set up a bank account just as if I had an LLC. I wanted to make sure though that I could get a bank account. I could have some sort of documentation stating that I really was this person, because whenever you use a pen name, sometimes it's hard to prove that you are this person. But with my DBA documentation, I have that, and so it made my life a lot easier, and it was worth the $30. So worth it. But later on, I am bringing my books wide, and I do not want Courtney Young on all of my Lyra Parrish books, so I think it's necessary at that point to have an LLC, because I will not be using a place like Draft2Digital or Smashwords for that, because I'm not going to pay the extra 15%. So that's my thinking with that. I hope that this video was helpful. If you have any questions regarding LLCs, please feel free to leave them down below. It's really not that scary once you get onto the website, inkfile.com, get your registering agent, see what the fees are for your state, and set it up. It is expensive some places, but remember, that's a tax write-off, and if you're making a lot of money, you'll want those write-offs, and it's going to be more than worth it for you. Any questions, just leave them down below. I appreciate all of you so much for being here. I am so glad to be back. I have no vacation, so y'all get ready for all the YouTubes, because it is happening. I hope you'll have an amazing week, you accomplish all your goals, and you write all the words, and I'll see you again in my next video. Bye!